There, buddy. We've got all kinds of crazy fun stuff going on. Winners and losers from this past weekend, ratings all over the place. Great weekend for the Big Ten. They made their debut on all platforms, and certainly it was a rousing success. We have the numbers, early numbers for Peacock on Saturday. That was East Carolina and the University of Michigan. And they set a streaming record for, the most watched football game in the history of the streamer. Now, obviously, Peacock hasn't been around all that long, but they have done a number of Notre Dame games. So the thought that East Carolina and Michigan could eclipse the Notre Dame games are a pretty impressive situation there. CBS had a good week with their airing of Big Ten football, and wasn't a great game, but it's funny. ESPN, CBS, when they had the Big Ten contract, they also had the Big East contract. They had some Big Ten games as well. So they're no newbies when it comes to A, college football, and B, the Big Ten, so we shouldn't be surprised there. The Saturday night game, which was West Virginia at Penn State, which wasn't really a terribly compelling game, unless, of course, you were a Penn State fan, had a tremendous number. I mean, you have to go all the way back to 2015 to beat it. And so, all in all, NBC did well on the weekend. CBS, ESPN had a big winner with Utah's, drubbing of Florida on Thursday night. They followed that up with an amazing game on Sunday with FSU just totally dominating the LSU team, which Brian Kelly thought that he was all over bragging about what they can do, and it came back to haunt them. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit on the call of those games, Utah and Florida, and then of course FSU and LSU. Busy week for Chris. Chris Fowler was, of course, not only doing those football games, he would jump in the company jet, and off they would go, and back to New York, where he'd go to Flushing Meadows, and he'd be, on the call for tennis. Of course, he gets a little help there from Patrick McEnroe. John usually sneaks in and helps out too, but John, of course, is quarantined for COVID. So that situation is what it is, and we'll see how that works out. But broadcast-wise, a lot of good work from talented guys. Young Mr. young Mr. Ian Eagle on the call with Gary Danielson. It's Todd Blackledge, excuse me, Blackledge on NBC. That combo it did really well, meshing together for the first time. Ian Eagle, is of course his father, and so he's got that very good. Ian's very good with pace. He builds it and he builds it and he builds it, and then boom, it's out. And he's not a screamer, but he really knows how to build a dramatic moment. Blackledge, of course, going back to the scene of where he played his college football, Penn State, and ironically, he and Jeff Hostetler, who would go on to be the quarterback in Morgantown for West Virginia, began, as co-quarterbacks at Penn State, trying desperately to see who could get the number one slot. And obviously Blackledge got it, and Hostetler to West Virginia, and they had a rivalry. Penn State and Penn State and West Virginia had a rivalry. They both were independents, and they used to play each other once a year. But it wasn't Pitt West Virginia, of course, the backyard brawl, which is only 75 miles from each other. But the Penn State rivalry with Pitt was good, but there was angst and animosity in that West Virginia situation too. So those two hadn't played each other since 1991, so it was really good to see them play. You have to go a long way to find something as compelling as what happened on Big Saturday, which for Fox was a huge win. And that, of course, is Deion Sanders. Deion was opening as the head coach of Colorado, his son Shedeur Sanders, and a very talented team. Now, you have to remember that Deion turned that roster around. I mean, we're talking 84 players that he brought in from the portal. And, you're just thinking, pretty much most of the time they're going to walk around with "Hello, my name is" tags. I mean, they don't know each other. They come from places. But to his credit, Deion was a man of his word, and he was 100% there doing what Deion does, and that's selling the program. And as someone who worked with Deion, in his pro days, no one sells Deion better than Deion. If you got a brand to sell, you want Deion selling that brand. And so Fox couldn't have been luckier. And luck has a lot to do with television and programming, folks. I mean, you show up on any given Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, whatever now. You don't know who's going to win. You don't. You think you do, but at the end of the day, you don't. And one of the joys of watching that football game, not only was the fact that, defense was optional, but it was the fact that, and by the way, Gus and Joe did a really good job. Gus Johnson, Joe Clay, they were good. No question about it. The beauty of that game was that, young Mr. Sanders proved that he, is a legit FBS quarterback. And he ran up some numbers that, are historic as well. So, it is what it is. We got our man, Terrence, how you doing? Fox has said it's currently looking for a streaming media partner. It's not a realistic plan. Why would a major partner with Fox? Here's what would happen and why that makes sense, okay? Follow me here, Terrence. Excuse me. Here's the reason it makes sense. You can, if your partner, we'll play it out for a second. Let's play it out with Apple. Apple doesn't like producing things, okay? They will pay for them to be produced, but they don't want to produce them. Fox, on the other hand, has a great deal of experience in producing. Now, what does that do? All right, so let's say all the games that are on Fox would be streamed on Apple, okay? The other aspect of that is you bring Apple money into Fox's, deal. You consolidate, and so between Fox and Apple, they then decide, okay, what are the events we want to bid on? We want NASCAR, cool. Let's bid together on NASCAR. You want Major League Baseball, cool. Now let's bid on Major League Baseball. Now it's not like Apple's not going to get anything out of this. I mean, obviously they get the streaming rights, but let's just say this: they have Friday Night Baseball right now. Fox has Saturday Night Baseball. Okay, so you can see the synergy there, right? You can see that. Okay, I can work my way up to a partnership where we are maximizing our dollars. We are servicing in a great way our partners, be it NASCAR, be it the NFL, be it Major League Baseball, which is where most of Fox's content goes, and World Cup soccer. So from that standpoint, you want a partner who's going to be able to stream, but can also throw money into it If you want a streamer who doesn't necessarily, mind being a partner, and also wants a piece of the pie. So there could be events on that Fox and Apple co-brand. There could be Apple only events, which are spin-offs of what they're doing with Fox. Fox would produce them, Apple would stream them. So it's just like Peacock right now. Peacock is doing shows with NBC. Well, the Peacock only shows are NBC crews. So I mean, it's not like it's not like Peacock goes out and hires a group. Peacock is part of NBC. So if it's only a Peacock football game, which was the noon game, the East Carolina game this week, then that game, is a partnership between, obviously, if that were to be, let's say, Fox and Apple, the streaming would be on one game would be on Fox, the other ends being streamed, and the other game would be streamed only on Apple. That's the beauty of the streaming aspect. You're not limited to 2 or 3 channels. You're limited to as many games as you want to play. You're not limited to a time. You can, if you want one to start at noon and the other start at 1:30, you can do it because there's no clock in streaming. There's no clock. It's all on demand. It's all, what you want to do and how you want to do it. So from that standpoint, you really have a level of flexibility that you never have in broadcast television. Broadcast television is an avenue where you watch something, and it's appointment television. So meaning if something starts at noon, then I got to be there at noon to watch it if I want to see the kickoff, unless I kind of sneak it, DVR it, right? So what you want is you want a partner that can give you flexibility. And so I think what Fox is doing, if they're looking for a partner, they're wise to do it, because there's no reason for Fox to try to invent a streaming platform that works for them. Just like it's even ESPN, who has ESPN Plus, is looking for a partner. And why? Okay, well, it's simple. The simple reasons that they do that is one we talked about just a second ago. One being that you can maximize your dollars and theirs. In a partnership like this, you can pick, all right, I'll take these games, you take that game, whatever. You can maximize your exposure for your partner, or client in this case, or however you want to call it. So let's say, Major League Baseball says we want to do 3 games or 4 games on Saturday. And maybe what we want to do for a change, because we haven't done this, Fox will take 2 games, because you always put up at least 2 games, in a regional basis, or, 1 national, 1 regional. And they say, we could do a doubleheader. So the first 2 are on Fox, the second 2 are on Apple. Okay. So you're maximizing your exposure for your partner. And that's where that comes in handy. And so I can foresee easily ESPN, I could see Apple, Fox, CBS is Paramount, and they also have, NBC has Discovery as a partner now for consolidation. So there's a lot of that can be done. Let's see what you got this time. Now that the ACC has added Stanford County State Conference and Denton, those 3 schools alone on an island until 2036. I don't know. I mean, they had a hard enough time bringing them in, right? I think probably what we're going to see here is we're probably going to see this situation where they see how it works. Let's take a couple years and see how this experiment works. If it works, well, then maybe what we should be doing is talking to the Mountain West, or someone like that, where we might be able to bring in some more teams and go that route, or the American. So I think before they expand any further, and that didn't go over well the first time, as you recall, because FSU and Clemson and North Carolina State voted against them. They flipped North Carolina State, and they were able to get in. If these three brands start to show up year in and year out on the television side and pull in numbers, then I think we'll see that the expansion possibility could be there, and ESPN and could consider this an opportunity to even get expansion more, and perhaps try to find out a way to get a little more money. So I think they're going to wait and see how it works. I mean, they've got they'll be there in 2024. So I think that what we'll see is 2024 really. Everything's going to kind of cruise along until 2030, and in 2030, because those contracts are beginning to come up, that's what I see more of, where things are. Okay, because right now we don't know. We've talked a lot about realignment, but we haven't seen the East Coast West Coast situation yet. We've seen the Big Ten go east and go to New York and to technically to New Jersey and to Washington, D.C. area and College Park, Maryland. And so we've seen, the Big Ten expand that way. Well, the Big Ten expanded big time out west. So we haven't seen how that shakes out yet. The Big 12, we haven't seen how that shakes out. I mean, they've got talk about an island. They've got Central Florida and Orlando. They've got 900 and some odd miles north, they've got West Virginia. And then they got Cincinnati, and then everything else is either in the Southwest or Plains states, or, literally, out in the mountain time zone with Colorado and Utah, or down in, Arizona, where they don't change the clock. So sometimes it's Pacific, sometimes it's mountain. You get my point. That's stretched out. That is a conference stretched out way out there. So yeah, I think we're going to be able to see how the theory of the case goes. Both the Big 12 conference and of course the Big 10 conference will see what they've gotten themselves into. So one would hope that the networks, along with conferences, would see where they went right and see where they went wrong, and try to make a course adjustment to make sure that works. Now, if that means they need to backfill, more seats at the table, then the ACC and Big 12, and I'm not thinking that the Big 10 or SEC is going to add a lot, but they could. So in theory, it's what we expect. We expect to see a whole different way of doing things by 2030, and we'll see who the partners are, because ESPN has said desperately that they want to be, everything offloaded onto ESPN Plus by 2025. Costs, the cost to consumer on the direct-to-consumer situation is, they're playing with the concept of somewhere between $22 to $35 a month, and that's a pretty large chunk of, for a sports-only package, for a streaming aspect. But, it is what it is. In that meantime, we're going to see how the direct-to-consumer model works for NBA teams, for NHL teams, perhaps even for MLB, because, of course, the regional sports networks are dying out. And so we're seeing a lot of local TV back again, which when I started in the business, that was where it was. You had a local, there were local broadcasts or regional broadcasters. And so we're seeing that, in the old line, everything old is new again. Everything is old, but new from that standpoint. With the collapse of cable bundle, how far media rights fall in the coming years? I don't know that they'll fall as much as I think the pie will get divvied up. Okay, so let's say the NBA contract, which is coming up here in in a year or two. We already know NBC wants to get back into it. The NBA had, NBC had the NBA for a number of years, so they want back in. ESPN is, they have laser focused on the NBA has been really good for ESPN. So they do not want an interloper. They don't want somebody coming in and taking anything from them. We know that Turner has been very excited and very successful with the NBA. Well, but, the NBA's played 7 nights a week. So how hard would it be to carve up a piece of that pie where that piece of the pie comes from a streaming service? Maybe what Amazon does is they want a Friday night basketball game. Okay, so and let's say that NBC wants a primetime Saturday night basketball game. What they can do is they can have, instead of the 2-partner system, which is pretty much what everybody has now, the NBA could have a 4 or a 5-partner system. That gets them to a number that they would like, but at the same time, it allows the networks and the streaming services to pay a little bit less than what they would have had to, in the long run, allowing them to stretch the money over a period of time with other things. So I would think that the bundle that we talked about would open the door for these types of consolidated situations where you get the final number sounds and will be, pretty close to what the NBA wants. They said they want somewhere in the, neighborhood of, I think it's $75 million, a year per team, something like that. I'll have to look back at the exact number, but the point being that the NBA will get close to those numbers, but they're not going to get close to those numbers with 2 partners. Okay, it's going to take 3, 4, perhaps even 5 partners to get to them to where they want in that number. So you see what I'm saying? It's not that the numbers per se will go down. It's that the avenues to get that cash will be different routes, okay, with different partners. And I assume, because it makes sense, that you'll cross promote. They do it now on an NBA. And that'll be the same case with baseball. That'll be the same case with hockey. That'll be the same case with, college sports. So at the end of the day, there'll be money. I don't think a lot of money college-wise, more than what they're paying right now. But they'll be able to sustain a nice level. All of sports will be sustaining a nice level of it, and they'll allow the direct-to-consumer aspect of it, so that you can make the choice. If you want to come on board, come on board. It's going to be an interesting ride, but that's how they're going to do it. It just business-wise, that's the only way it makes sense. If you want to put yourself out of business, get into the rights business. That will do it, and that's where Spectrum and and Disney are at this point. Spectrum, you may remember, got the Dodgers for $8 billion over a 20-year period. If you want to see the Dodgers in Los Angeles and you're not a Spectrum subscriber, very few people are going to see them. As a matter of fact, the Dodgers games have been notoriously absent in most of Los Angeles County and throughout that Southern California because, cable companies beyond Spectrum are not paying Spectrum $7, a month for for the Dodgers, and another $3 a month for the Lakers. When they can get the Clippers and they can get the Angels, for the normal, $6 or $7, which is what they've been charged, by used to be Fox, now it's Bally's, now it's basically they're out of it. The Clippers, as a matter of fact, have gone back to KTLA, which for many years was home to the Angels, even the Dodgers at times, and local broadcasts, and then they're going to stream the package. Same thing with the Utah Jazz. They're going to do games locally with their broadcast TV partner over the air free, and then they're going to stream everything else on where you can get it anytime you want to get it. So there's a lot of interesting things. The package that the Golden Knights in Las Vegas are doing is very much the same. So there's going to be a different way of watching this, and there's going to be more partners, and there's going to be the opportunity to be far more portable with what you got. And I'm sure it's also going to be a more worldwide package that they're going to create, because that's what Amazon and Apple and YouTube are. They're vehicles around the world. They're not going to want to be just, US only type situation. So there's even international rights that are involved. There'll be a situation. If you like MLS soccer, one of the cool things about the MLS is that the MLS has this really, season pass, which you can watch all the games. And it's reasonably priced. And if you're a soccer fan, you'll love it. And it's a great place for Lionel Messi to play and to make money. Messi, by the way, played in Los Angeles this week, and it was quite the star-studded crowd. Okay, if he doesn't usually surrenders to demands of Congress, but how much will that? Okay, well, here's the thing: if Disney and Charter comes to an agreement, and they will do that. There's no reason for them not to do it. It's going to hurt Disney more than it's going to hurt Charter. Okay. Let's say Disney was getting paid by Charter $10. Let's say at the end of the day, Disney's going to get, or ESPN in this case is going to get, let's say, make it easy. Let's say it's $5. So it's half of what they were getting paid, give or take. ESPN and Disney will try to make that back up on the ESPN Plus side. So they'll take content in and they'll see if they can get more subscribers that way. If I'm a cable subscriber and, I've gone, 5 or 6 weeks without watching or being able to see my favorite team, then I'm not going to be a fan of a big fan of Charter or Spectrum in this case. It's quite possible they may lose me as a customer. So there's a dance that goes on here that they have to be very careful with, and that's who is the bad guy? Well, they're both bad guys in this case. They both want their whatever it is they can get, and they want it, and they don't want to give up a lot. So, eventually they will come to a deal. What that deal looks like, who knows? But they will come to a deal. But at the end of the day, and the most important part to this is every day you do that, you are kicking off customers who want to see, they want to see that LSU game the other night against Florida State. They wanted to see the Miami and Miami played. But they want to see Florida, Utah, all that stuff. They want to see it. And if you're hiding it from them and holding your ransom, well, then you're not going to win a lot of friends. So that's what I'm thinking here, boys. It's we're just gonna see how it plays out. But I don't think that Charter wants to drag this too much. They've blown off the first week of college football, and they're running the risk of blowing off Monday Night Football in that, and that's going to cause them some grief. So I would think that this is going to last just a little bit longer, but it's too painful, and it's a calculated gamble on both sides. I mean, if Disney doesn't acquiesce and say, okay, we'll meet you halfway, or however the situation negotiation goes, it's a problem for them. It's also a problem for Charter. Like I said before, if I'm not getting what I want to watch on cable, why am I paying them? So I think that's some of the things that we're going to have to look at, and hopefully be able to find out sooner as opposed to later, because I know a lot of Spectrum and fans who want to see their favorite teams, and they're not going to be able to do it if this lottery head keeps going on, and we hope that it doesn't. Let's go back to Twitter and see what else we got here with some questions. Let's see. The AP Top 20 is coming out in the next minute or two, so we'll pop in and see how that goes. Let's see what we got. All right, yeah. Which game of the week this week? Texas and Alabama. It could be. It was last year. It was a fantastic game. I know that ESPN's going to be geeked about that, and there's going to be a lot going on between that. And those are two blue blood programs, and they very soon are going to be in the same conference. So 100%, that's going to be one to watch. This is the first week, obviously, of the pro football season. Remember that there's going to be a Thursday night game. There's going to be, obviously, Sunday games like we normally have, and then there's the usual doubleheader Monday. So there's a bunch of good NFL coming up. So keep an eye open for that. We'll keep you posted on the broadcast teams and all that. It's let's see. I'm just looking down here in our group. Pardon me for just a moment. Big winners: Fox, ESPN, Utah, Big Ten, FSU, US Open. Losers: Disney, Charter, LSU, Clemson, and others. I can't deny it. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. So let's see if we go down a little further and see what's going on with the group. Hello, Bill. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Tom. I feel like Miss June. Tommy, what you got? Okay. Ironic how well the Pac-12 played, and the Pac-12 network looked good. Well, look, the Pac-12 network has looked good. It hadn't been run properly. The network production-wise has been spectacular. It's crazy, but it's true. I think both of SC's games have been on the network, and that's it's been fun. They do a good job. Ted Patterson, Roxy Bernstein, and Lincoln Kennedy. Some good broadcasters they've got on out there. So yeah, how about that? Let's go back to the questions. Okay. Oh, we're talking about Charter again. The most interesting thing about the issues that Charter and their subs is they're getting no cost access to Disney and ESPN Plus. Always wondered about that, because at least with DirecTV, if your subscription to HBO is linear, you can get Max with no additional charge, which is true. I mean, the streaming service is, working with the cable company. And in many cases, it's, you've got now where the player can be just downloaded into your Xfinity or your Spectrum home screen, and you can launch your streaming services right there, and you're not double dipping. So clearly, there's something funky going on here between Disney Plus and ESPN Plus that might be part of the negotiations. So we never know. Let's see, Immaculate, how are you, buddy? All right, here we go. Heather Dinch and Paul Finebaum joined Get Up this morning. It was pretty good conversation. Overall, I'm going to focus in one part of this again. This is a quote from Paul Finebaum. All right. It's funny. Paul has done a radio show, or did a radio show in Birmingham for years, and it was the must listen to if you were an SEC fan. And so Paul has been around for a while, and he it's a little hard for him to go outside his comfort zone, which is outside the SEC. But Paul is a very entertaining fellow. Now let's see what Immaculate says about this. This is Paul Finebaum's quote. All right. When he is talking about, he's talking about Colorado. Here we go. There's really they are really a nice program. He's owning the sport, but this is absolutely, I'm afraid, I can't believe I'm about to say this, about Deion. There's absolutely no chance whatsoever that they ever are in the conversation past October. Even Greeny, jumped in on this one, immediately remarked about keeping receipts on that one. I have a feeling Deion will be using that one. Maybe Finebaum is right. Maybe he's stoking the fire. Who knows? But expect a lot of poking and prodding that Colorado team this year. 100%. I'm on Greeny's side on this one. Those who doubt Deion do so at their own peril. Deion is not to be trifled with. And there's a funny thing here. Finebaum and Deion go way back in their mutual dislike for each other from a standpoint of professional. And I have no idea whether they're personal dislike or not, but it's Paul and Deion have chirped on each other for years. I don't foresee that chirping stop anytime soon. And look, Paul has a radio show. It's good for him to get to say that. I'm quite certain that during a press conference, somebody's going to bring it up in Colorado, and I'm sure that Deion, who will never shy away from hearing a quote like that, will basically chirp back at Finebaum. So look, it's good, clean fun. I mean, it's if it's bulletin board material, fine. If it's not, that's okay too. It's basically an opportunity for these two guys to to have some fun with each other. And so Finebaum says they're not going to be a factor, come October. Well, tell you what, Nebraska's going to find out this week. So again, it's prime. It's Deion. It's must-see TV. You can't just hide from it. It's omnipresent, and it's actually a good thing. It's a good thing for college football to have a guy like Deion. It gives coaches personality, which is they have coach personality, but Deion takes coach personality to a different level. He's up here. The rest of them are down here. Deion, when it comes to marketing, he's playing three-dimensional chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. So he's quite the character, and he's a lot of fun. So if he and Feinbaum are having a feud, then I'll take Dion on the Family Feud there. And look, he's played one game. All right, beat TCU. It's not the TCU team that was playing Georgia in the national championship. It's not a bad team, but you got to say, I mean, you go down to Dallas area and beat TCU is an accomplishment. The first game, even. So and to hang 45 points on. So we'll see. I mean, they get to go home now in Boulder, and this week in one of the most beautiful stadiums on the planet. They will play I want to say improved, but not totally improved yet. Nebraska team. It's a Nebraska team that's finding itself, and I'm hoping that works out because, again, Nebraska is one of those blue blood brands that you don't want to that you'd like to see back. And same for Miami. Miami has a big game this weekend against Texas A&M, and that's down at the Hard Rock in Miami. So I think the opportunity for Mario Cristobal and in Miami to shut up Jimbo Fisher would be a very entertaining situation. And I'm sure that, believe me, ESPN will be all over that game. They will have every possible angle of Miami and Texas A&M ready to rock and roll come this weekend. So that's another game that could be must-see TV. All right, let's go down and see if we can pick up a couple more real quick before we got to get out of here. A lot of the same stuff. Now you got Brett McMurphy is saying that he thinks when the college coaches poll comes out that Clemson will actually still be rated above Duke at 21 and he at 24. I assume that's on Brett's ballot for the AP. It probably is. Okay. Looks like I may as well. Okay. This is Big Ten information. All right. What you got for us? Big Ten information. That's his handle. Looks like I might as well move over to YouTube TV right now. I priced out the difference between what I pay for the internet, and it would save me quite a bit. So long, Charter. Hello, YouTube TV. Well, things are moving in that direction. Let's see what Ken Fang, my buddy. Kenny, what do you got for us here? Charter and Disney are dueling offers of online streaming services for Spectrum customers. So, okay. So part of the hang up here is Spectrum has got a streaming service and they are battling against, so they're kind of trying to box out Disney and Charter. Okay. Not necessarily the greatest business idea, but we'll see. Looking real quick at Brett did publish his entire ballot, which has FSU at number 1, Georgia number 2, Michigan number 3, Bama 4, Washington 5, Penn State 6, Oregon 7, Ohio State 8, Notre Dame 9, Oregon State 10, USC 11, LSU 12, North Carolina 13, Tennessee 14, Duke 15, Ole Miss 16, UCLA 17, Utah 18. Ooh, boy, I'll tell you, Utah fans are not going to be happy about that. Oklahoma 20, well, Texas 19, Oklahoma 20, Tulane 21, Wisconsin 22, Auburn 23, K-State 24, Louisville rounds out Brett's card on what he voted on the AP. So there you go, folks. Big stuff. Got time for one or two more. Okay. Do you expect other cable streaming companies to react to the outcome of Charter Disney's dispute? If Disney lowers the carriage fees to satisfy Charter, will others demand the same from Disney? Yeah. I mean, but then again, they're cable companies are cable companies, right? Charter and Spectrum have a loose relationship. I don't think they have Time Warner anymore, but I'll have to check that. But Comcast has content because, of course, they're owned by Universal. Disney has content because now that's ABC. So I think what they're going to do, Terrence, is you can't really lump it all into one group. What they can do if you're let's say Comcast, and Comcast is having problems getting Peacock or some of the other streaming services, or USA for that matter, they can discount USA if Spectrum and Charter would be willing to put the Peacock on their on their app. So there's ways to horse trade around this, and I think that's what will happen. I think other cable companies they're going to absolutely want lower fees to pay out to all of us. To NBC, they're going to probably want to pay it. They're not going to do that. The point being brought up that by Ken Fang that Max they include Max if you have HBO. I think that shows you that there are creative ways of doing this, and it doesn't seem that Charter and Disney has quite figured out that creative process yet, but they will. But I think that each cable company will have to figure out what's the price, and what is it, basically what's the fair market value of this when you also are my competitor. So I think that's where it's going to fall down. It probably is going to be somewhere close to that $5, $4.50, whatever number that would get a subscription to ESPN. So if I want to stream ESPN Plus right now, it costs me about $6. So anywhere between $6 and $4 is what they would want to pay, I would assume, because that way you're basically paying them for what a subscriber would pay them. You're not paying above it, which is probably what they want, but that's where they're going to go with it. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be a little different with each cable company. And that's always been the way it has been. It's never been one size fits all when it comes to cable. They have different philosophies, different ways of doing it, different things that they want to accomplish, and different ways to get there. So I wouldn't apply whatever Charter and Spectrum does to the remainder of the cable world, or for that matter, the satellite world. Again, you got to go on what DirecTV and how they handle their contracts is different than Dish Network and how they handle contracts. It's each one of the cable companies themselves handle this, handle these programming aspects differently. And so I think we'll see. But that being said, I do believe that the one overriding issue that they're going to try to do is to lower those carriage fees. And it makes sense. I mean, you don't have as many subscribers as you used to. You may have, you actually may have more broadband subscribers than your cable subscribers. So you're not losing money, but you also don't want to overpay. And so I think they're going to find what a quote unquote fair market value is. And they're going to live at that fair market value, or try to get to that fair market value, and not have to pay, exorbitant fees, which some of them have. So anyway, really appreciate all the good questions. Some really fantastic ones. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow. Sorry for the freeze. I just realized it. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. So drop by and say hello. All right, gang. Have a lovely day.